So I'm going to start with the with the question, and then you raise your hand, and we'll come and bring a mic. So as the film is loosely based on two historical characters. The rest is what one would call historical fiction. What was the conception of it, and what do you like about this format?
So I always like the idea of bringing two heroes together. It was quite a fascinating thing for me, even as a child. The heroes from different stories, I would imagine them coming together, collaborating, have a chat, whatever. That was a childhood fantasy for me. Uh, uh, so after Bahubali, my previous film, when I was thinking, what should I do? I was thinking of this one. I was reading this Rajan Komaram Bhim, Komaram Bhim, and I noticed very uncanny coincidences in their lifetime. They were born around the same time. They left their homes when they were in their early 20s, and they came back and they fought for the freedom of the people. But we don't know what happened to them for a period of 2-3 years. So I thought this is the place where I can pick up and weave a tale of friendship between them. So that's how RRR started.
How difficult it is, because one of the magic of the film is the balance between the emotional credibility of it, the emotional truth of it, and the very over the top action and things that you see. So how do you keep that balance? So, so the film is very stylized, and it feels totally real because the emotions feel real.
I think for me, I don't see emotions and the over the top action sequences as completely two different things. One and other complement each other.
Yeah.
And for me, I like my heroes to be really, really superhuman in their feats they achieve. But in terms of emotional connect, I like them to be very, very grounded. I like the audience to fall in love with them. I like the audience to feel for them, empathize with them. Not just like to, that is quite essential for my action scenes, my over the top action scenes to be believable and lovable. That is very, very important. So, yeah, I like the characters to be very grounded and very human like.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea? This is, your biggest film, and one of the biggest made in India, is my understanding, and it was about 300 days worth of production. You started in 2018, and then the pandemic hit. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of the scale of the production and the timing?
Yeah, I think you said it almost completely. It's a huge production. We at least in Indian terms, I don't know if those numbers are big or not here in US. 500 crore rupees is a very, very big budget for an Indian production, and we shot for 320 days. Not that I like shooting for 320 days, but I'm forced to shoot for 320 days because we don't have second unit, third unit, that style of working. Every scene essentially has to be shot by me. So the way we shoot it is we plan for an episode, we shoot that episode, complete the editing for that episode, send it to VFX, plan for the next episode, and shoot that episode. And that's how we go forward. So, and the film is like 3 hours in length, and we have songs and all that take a lot of time. Hence the 320 days. The pandemic, yes, it troubled us, but I shouldn't be complaining because it troubled everyone on the planet Earth. And so, like everyone else, we had our troubles, but we took it in our stride. We overcame those hurdles and brought the film to you.
Can you your directing of action is incredible. It's so full of imagination, and it just makes you feel like you're there and flying with. Can you give us an idea how do you choreograph sequences as complicated as the one where they come in with a carriage and all the animals go out, and there is the gigantic set pieces. I mean, the choreography. Do you storyboard? Do you design it? Do you it's all in the edit. It's just so much to it, and it's so precise.
Um, thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, the first thing is the images are formed in the head, but not in a very, very concrete way. Some of them might be very clear, like you're saying, if Beam is jumping out of the truck with the animals, that portion I would be very clear. But how would they come? What is the lead? What is the follow up? I will have a vague idea about it. So I take the help of fantastic technicians that I have with me, my DOP, my visual effects supervisor, my concept artist, my storyboard artist. All of them collaborate and give me. We try to, even before we start shooting, we try to pre-visualize the entire sequence so that everyone is on the same page and all the shots come out the way we envisioned them. So there is a lot of collaboration process of all these technicians, and I have a fantastic stunt choreographer named Solomon. And for example, the introduction of Ram with thousands of people against one man, it is a laughable idea on paper, but when I spoke to him and I explained him what I want, he really put himself to task and the people around him, and he composed that sequence for almost 2 months. The composition itself took 2 months, and he practiced for almost 10 days with the actor, and when we shot it for 20 days. So a lot of pre-production process, a lot of creative process. But yes, all this comes together well because I have a fantastic team of technicians.
You work with the same composer, Keravani, for all of your 12 films, and because action and music and this film and your other films are so tied with music, how do you work with him, and how important is music in the overall piece?
Surprisingly, we don't discuss music much. What we discuss is the flow of emotions. What is the flow of the emotions in the entire story? What is the flow of emotions in that particular episode? And in that episode, to how am I envisioning the emotions to reach the audience? So that is how we work. A lot of discussion happens on that. Actually, a lot of our discussion happens on editing the scene rather than composing the music for the scene. Because if the action is flowing, the music will automatically follow. Like you said, he composed for all my films. He's my cousin. He's my elder brother. So he saw me growing up. So he understands my needs as a human being, as a director. He understands, and he's a composer for 230 films, 240 films. He composed music for written songs for so many films. So he has lots and lots of experience, and yeah, it's a fantastic collaboration.
Your father is also a major filmmaker, a screenwriter, and a
Yes,
director, right? And
yes,
did he work on the script of this?
yes. He's a scriptwriter. He directed few films, but his uh, majorly he's a story writer, and he wrote for most of my films. 10 of my films, he's a story writer. Um, yes, I worked under him as an assistant writer before I became a director. So altogether, it is like almost 26, 27 years of working together. So we we clearly understand each other's dramatic language. we don't need to spell it out clearly, explain to each other clearly. One or two sentences, we clearly understand where we are heading. And yeah, it's nice, nice working with my dad. And in fact, the only thing that we speak about is films. Whether my film or other films, there is no other topic between us. Even at the dinner table, it is the same topic. It's the same thing.
Raise your hand and we'll get you the mic if you have. I'm just gonna have a follow up and then we'll get. What are since you clearly you have a film. Very film-oriented family. What are the films that formed you when you were younger?
I mean, when I was younger, when I didn't even have the thought of becoming a director, I was enamored by the films itself. One of uh, a couple of films that made deep impact on me were Telugu films called Maya Bazar and Miss Amma. Both of them are by Vijaya Productions and fantastic films. They made uh, a long-lasting impact on me. I didn't know at that point of time. I was a kid, but later on, I could put two and two together and understand uh, uh, how influential those films are on my thinking. Later on, English films are a big source of my fantasy world. The action films, the epic dramas, like uh, Ben-Hur or Braveheart or Gladiator. All these kinds of films are like a huge inspiration for me and my style of filmmaking.
Steve.
Yeah, thank you. You answered my question. I was wondering when you speak to your father only about films, outside of films from India, what films do you like? And you basically answered that question. But specifically, what about American films? Which ones do you like most of all?
Yeah, I almost answered the same question. Films that are epic in scale, in drama, larger than life characters and characterizations. Those are the films that I like most. Like I said, Ben-Hur, Braveheart, Gladiator, and in a different way, all of Steven Spielberg's films, James Cameron's films. Yeah, I see them uh, I see them quite number of quite number of times, and huge influence on me.
There's a question there. No, hold on. Wait for the mic because it's not going to hear you otherwise.
Sir, how long did it take you to shoot the dancing scene?
Yeah, I mean, the shooting itself of the dance sequence was 12 days, 12 to 15 days, I think, if you take the lead scene as well. And but they practice, both the actors practice for a week before that. But the dance choreographer composed for almost again 6 to 7 weeks. He was composing the steps for the steps. So it's yes, a lot of time. Yes.
There's one there. Yeah.
I was just wondering when's the sequel?
I mean, when RRR released back in March, we briefly discussed about is there a scope for a sequel? A couple of interesting ideas came up, but but none of them were like really compelling. So we left it at that. Then recently, a few weeks back, the topic came up again, and suddenly my cousin, who also is a story writer, came up with a beautiful idea, which I thought was like, wow, this is great. And I asked immediately my father and my cousin to completely etch out to make it, to develop the story. But at this point of time, it is still in developmental stage. But I have a great idea of how to go forward with it. Yeah, once I have more concrete plans with it, I will definitely announce.
But is the same two heroes?
Of course.
Well, this one there. Yeah.
I enjoyed the performance. I'd like to know what was your education in terms of movies and that brought you to what you are today. Your education in terms of directing and so forth.
Yeah. What was your professional? You said you started working with your father as an assistant.
Yeah. So my education is education. I would say studies and education are different. My education started with comic books and storybooks. I come from a very small town. My mother is an illiterate, but she never forced me to take up my class books or my do my homework, all that stuff. She would always encourage me to read storybooks, comics. She would buy whatever comic books I asked her for, and my my dramatic development started with that. Amar Chitrakada, a comic book from India. It is not like the comic strips that we see here. Amar Chitrakada is basically the tales of India, whether it is the epics, whether it's historical figures, whether it is folklore of India. All of them were written in a beautiful manner for that could engage from kids to the elders. So that was one of my first education. Then into novels, fiction, non-fiction, all that stuff. I'm a college dropout. After dropping out from my college, because I was doing nothing, my father was after me to do something, not waste my time. So because I didn't know anything about life or what to do with my life, because my family is into films, I said I'll become a film director. I had no idea what a film director does, but my father took it seriously, and he put me in different jobs, very small jobs, working in a editing room, working in a recording room, working as an apprentice to a director, Mr. Krant Kumar. So likewise, I started working in the films, slowly starting developing interest. Then my father realized that I had a penchant for action scenes, writing action scenes, or giving action ideas, and I joined him as an assistant and worked for 5-6 years as an assistant before then I did some few small ad films, directed a TV serial before I got my break as a director. So I didn't go to any film school. From joining the editing room to getting my break as a director, it took almost 9 to 10 years. So that is my film education.
Bravo, and hope being not too imaginative here, maybe this is a question for either development hell or your agent stateside or in the UK. Would you consider the book to film rights for Prince Harry's new memoir? I think you could do a bang up job, and 100 years later, set from your wonderful film here. You never know. He's got some inside dirt on the monarchy.
Can you repeat the question, please? I couldn't get it properly.
I think he's saying that since you did such a good job on colonial in the UK and the downside of the British monarchy, if you would be interested in doing an adaptation of Prince Harry's book.
I haven't read it, but I should say my film is not about actually depicting the evils of the British Empire, even though my villain is a British governor and he's quite a villain. My intention is not that. My intention is to tell a story of friendship, because it is based on real life characters, and because they fought against the British, I had to keep the British as the villains. My take on the British rule in India wouldn't, my take or the facts of British rule in India a film would not be enough to encompass the whole colonialism, uh, colonialism, because we were ruled by the British for 90 years, and so much and so many things happened in that. Uh, uh, I wouldn't say my film is a correct depiction of what it is. I would say it is just one small fraction of it. So we can't take it as a historical fact in that. Yeah.
We have a question here.
Yes, so we've talked about, the themes of obviously brotherhood and unity and so forth. And I just had a sort of political and uh, political end of the spectrum of those questions. Clearly, your film includes also national unity. I'm thinking of the final scenes also. So, artists often just want their work to speak for itself, and I respect that. But do you have any other comment about the theme of the political themes in the film, and in particular the theme that I pick up of unity and national unity?
Thank you for the same thing. I was also accused uh, uh, of playing a divisive role rather than political unity. But thank you for that. For me, my intention was not to encourage people for unity or divide people in any sort. That was not my intention. From my childhood, I read so many stories about so many freedom fighters who fought for the liberty of my country, and there were many stories and many leaders to whom I looked up and felt really, really proud and felt really, really emotional. It is not that every day that you get a chance to pay tribute to them. So because I'm making such a film, even though it's not a freedom struggle movie, because the theme itself is the background is independence struggle, I thought I could make a song at the end and pay some kind of tribute for the leaders whom I admired and adored for a long time. So that was the intention. It is my tribute to those great leaders.
The two lead actors are like superhero actors. How do you collaborate with them, and how do you draw out that incredible emotional and physical energy?
For one thing, both of them are great actors. And luckily for me, not only they are great actors, they are great dancers and very, very adept at doing stunt sequences. So I'm lucky to have them. I worked with them before, and we made quite successful films. Our relationship continued. They're like brothers to me. They treat me with respect. And so when I had this idea of doing a multi-starrer, I called them home and I said, see, I don't even have a clear story idea, but I want to do a multi-star with you. They immediately said yes, without even asking me what it's going to be, how it's going to be. So it's a kind of trust that we have on each other. That's how we went forward. But while writing the characters, we did a process called character development, where we write everything about that particular character from the point of his birth to the point of his death. Even though we are using only just 6 months in that character's life, we are like writing the entire story of his life. Not a story, but how his character changed, what he was as a child, as a young adult, as an adult, as a mature person. How did he change? What did his tastes change? Why did they change? How would they react for a particular situation in the beginning of their life, and how would they react at the end of the life? What caused the changes? So we had a lot of the character description written, and we made the actors be a process of that character writing, and they understood each and everything about that character. So that helped them in presenting the character in the way I wanted.
I have a follow-up on this. You mentioned the word, speaking about the two lead actors, you mentioned the word adaptability. You know, yes, they are dancer, they are action stars. They're also they're comedians. It seems to me that Indian cinema, in particular this film, has a more fluid relationship between the genre. Here, you know, it's like it's a comedy and it's a comedy. It's an action film and it's an action film. You keep switching register, which I think is just wonderful. It takes the audience in a different. It's a different kind of journey. Do you agree to what I'm saying? And do you think this is a characteristic of Telugu cinema?
Yes, absolutely, it is. But we have been seeing films like that from the beginning. So for us, cinema is the cheapest, simplest form of entertainment for a lot of people, most affordable form of entertainment, and going to the film with the family is like it happens quite frequently in many of the families in India. So the filmmakers from a long time started writing stories or developing stories in a way that there is something for everyone in the family, something for the kids, something for the youngsters, something for the adults, something for the older people. So that has been the way we were brought up. We were told our stories. But at the same time, because we are mixing so many genres, there is a danger of it getting complicated, mixed up, and there is a danger of no one liking the film rather than everyone liking the film. So we have to be very careful with that, even though there are different genres, different emotions. There is a kind of science and grammar to it, how one emotion should flow into the other. There are many do's and don'ts that we learn as story writers, and we follow that.
I have one last question, and then we probably need to finish this. But did you expect that the film would be so successful, not with the Indian audiences, but with the Western audiences?
No, definitely not. I definitely expect that, but obviously, I'm so happy that it did. Yeah. Initially, we thought, okay, these people must be the friends of the Indians who went to watch the movie. But as the responses started getting bigger and wider, and many more influential people started talking about the film, slowly we realized that, okay, this is something bigger than we thought. Then my friends friends Dylan and George, the Indians film, Potent Films, that we have to take it to the wider audience. I thought they were crazy in the beginning, but they really put in so much of hard work in taking the film into wider audience. At the same time, Netflix release happened. It really spread its wings and reached many more people. Yeah, I never expected this kind of reception from the West, but I can't complain.
And we need to finish this. And thank you so very much. And very good luck with what's ahead for the next several weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Glad you all guys liked it.